he was one of the first black men to get licensing from the NBA, NASCAR, the NFL, and the MLB. Wow. And I worked for him. I interned with him. It was a paid internship in the city. I was working with him, and then for the summer, I made some pretty good money. And then once the fall season, once the project I was working on ended, I hit a brick wall because I didn't know how to do computer graphics. So, of course, I was trying to please my parents. As I was doing all this stuff, I was going to school for nursing. I was a nurse's aide at the time, and I was going to school for nursing. Life happened. I had kids, which changes everything. It's hard to be a starving artist with kids. So I was doing the nursing, and I was still pursuing my dreams. And in the meantime, so while I was going to school, while I was working as a CNA full time, I started going to school for graphic design, and I learned how to use the computer.
Where did you go?
And I went to Catherine Gibbs, the Gibbs School. It was in Melville. It was one of those private schools. And in the commercial, I still never forget the commercial that said, "Who says you can't make money doing graphic design?" And then that was the pitch. And then they sucked me in. I went there. I got my degree. And one of the things that I was really proud of is I was always a go-getter. I was always outside of the box. While my classmates when they gave us an assignment, my classmates were working on the assignment, I was actually working on real projects. So if they said, we need to come up with a business card project, I would actually go out, find a customer that needed a business card, and I would work on their project in class. And all of my class projects were actual projects that I was actually getting paid for. So
that's the hustle.
That's the hustle in me and the entrepreneur in me.
So was family supportive during this time period? You got your degree, not in nursing, but in graphic design. How were they with that?
It was good. After getting my degree, one of my biggest, another bump in the road I ran into was everywhere you go to apply for a job, they said you need experience. And the fact that I was older and looking for a job and I already had kids, it was difficult for me to find a job that paid enough to support my lifestyle. Because I was already a nurse's aide, and I was making about $15 an hour. And some, I worked two different jobs. One nursing home I was making $15, another one I was making $18 an hour, and I couldn't find an entry graphic design job that was going to pay me that. And another issue I ran into also was all the graphic design jobs were in Nassau or in the city. The ones that were out here were like for newspapers, and it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
One of the things that I had in my mind was, if I'm going to do this job, if I'm going to get a job, I want to be happy in it. And that was my biggest issue, trying to find a job doing what I wanted to do, which was really entertainment. Everything in entertainment was in Manhattan. So the commute didn't make sense for the amount of pay that I was going to make. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. So I started looking for ways to make money doing the graphics. I did T-shirts. I was doing T-shirt design for people. And also in that time was the golden age of print. Print design was very popular at that point.
What
Everybody
year?
was doing. It was the early 90s. Yeah, we graduated in 88, so like the early 90s, mid 90s, close to 2000. So I was doing flyer design. I started my company. I said, I'm going to start a new company called Maximum Graphics. I called it Maximum Graphics because the way I came up with that name Maximum is everything I do is to the max. I don't do anything halfway. If I start it, I'm going to go to the fullest. Do it till it can't be done anymore. And with my slogan, my slogan. So I started Maximum Graphics. My mom bought me my first computer. In fact, she didn't even know she was buying it for me. I took a credit card and I purchased a computer. And before the bill came in, I was able to pay it off. My first computer, my company started with $1,500. That was my first Dell. I bought a Dell computer.
Oh.
And I was working out of the basement, and I had customers coming to the house, and I was doing party flyers. I was doing flyers for $25.
Wow.
$25 for a flyer design. and I was, and then I said that I need to find a way to make more money. So what I would do is I would design the flyers, I would get wholesale printing prices, and I would travel all the way to the city. I got hooked up with this printer who did gang printing, and I would drive all the way to the city from where we lived in Brentwood, which is about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what time you went.
Yes.
And I would go 2-3 times a week and pick up these flyers that I would design for people and deliver them to the people. Then I hooked up with club owners, and I started doing club promotions for the club owners. I would design their flyers, and I would come deliver them to the nightclubs. And my business was growing, so I said, let me go out and get an office space. And at that time, I thought it was a great idea, but it was one of the worst things I've ever done.
Oh, why?
Because one of the things I've learned throughout the years is just because you're an artist doesn't make you a businessman. A lot of people start businesses because they're talented in one thing, but they don't do the research to find out what it's going to cost to run that business, what it's going to cost to maintain the rent. Once you become a business, your regular phone bill, you could tack on another $100. If your bill is normally $100, for a corporate phone bill, it's another $200 or another $300. Your rent, your oil, your paper, your advertising. The good thing about the business I was in, whenever I did a flyer or a promotion for somebody, I would put my tag on the bottom, designed by Rodini, get flyers like this. So that was my marketing. So every time someone did 5,000 flyers and they would go hand them out, they were handing out my promotions for me. And then what was happening was I got real popular real quick. I got really hot. So everybody was coming to me for their design. So I said, I'm going to need more help. So I started training other designers to do flyers and stuff. So at one point, I got the office. What happened is I met up with this guy, this printer. He saw how much work I was doing, and he said, I'll give you an office. I'll give you an office in the back of my printing company. He had office spaces there. So he was introduced to me by another guy. So me and another guy who had a magazine went in there, and we took the office space, and that was the beginning of Maximum Graphics and Promo Magazine. Promo Magazine is a magazine that I teamed up with this guy named Mark Jackson. He was the one who got me into the building. The whole concept of Promo Magazine was we would go out, take pictures of the people's business, create an advertisement for them, print out like a leaflet magazine, and then go and put them in stores and barbershops and hair salons, and get paid for the advertisement. And he would pay me for doing the graphics and the layout of the booklet.
And this is incredible because did you have a plan, a business plan?
I did.
You just wanted to go door to door. You just kind of knew. Did you?
Yeah.
Did you ever doubt yourself? Like, can I do this?
No,
Never.
No.
You knew you had it in you.
Yeah, I knew. I just knew. I was always a hustler, so I knew it was in me to do what I had to do. I have like an innate survival instinct. So my mother always said that God has a special plan for me. So that's another story in itself. When I was born, I was stillborn. And yeah, I can make a book about this.
Wow, that's a big detail.
Yeah, I was born dead. And when they took me out, when they took me to bring me to the morgue, the nurse that was bringing me to the morgue ran into my father. She was a friend of my father. My father was just running into the hospital. And when he walked in, he was like, is he all right? And she was like, yeah, I just got to bring him to the incubator, because she didn't have the heart to tell him that I was dead. So she brought me to the incubator and turned it all the way up. And when she turned up the incubator, she turned around and she was going to talk to my father. And then my father's like, look, he's kicking. And then she turned around. She turned it up too high. And I guess it revived me. She then turned it down, called the doctor, and said, Doc, he's alive. So from that point on, my mother always said, God has a special mission for you. So, you're God's child. You have a special mission in life. So I guess that's why I always felt like I can do anything. So
Wow.
I always felt, and comics and art, I think had a big influence in me because you as an artist yourself, you know that in your mind you think outside the box, and I think all the time I think of myself as a hero, like a superhero, and I can do anything. So I felt there was nothing that I couldn't do. So that's why, back to your question, did I ever doubt myself? No, I never doubted myself because I felt like as long as I can breathe and as long as I can walk and do what I can do and be able to do my God-given gift, then I can achieve anything.
Big life lesson there, everybody.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have those doubts, like, especially in the arts, because sometimes you have the misconception, I can't make money doing this. Why should I bother? They give up after the first try, which is ludicrous. You got to stick with it. There's ways.
The key is stick with it. But at the same token, in the same thing, you have to think about reality also. So you can keep striving for your dreams, but at the same time, you got to take care of your responsibilities and try to live.
So how do you do that? How do you balance? Find a way?
That's the hard part. Yeah, you have to find a way. So if I have a lot of people that inspire me. Like a lot of people that inspire me in the realm of art. I don't just do graphic design. I'm not just a graphic designer. I consider myself an artist. And because I was in the music industry, I was around people, and one of the guys that inspired me was Diddy from Puffy. I did work for him in the past through a DJ that I started with. He's another guy. There was a couple of people that I thank for giving me my start. One was Buddy McGirt, who introduced me to Carl Banks, who inspired me to go to school and get a degree and learn how to do graphic design the real way. And then there was DJ 45, aka Caleb Boss. He was a guy from Brentwood also, close friend of mine. He gave me my first shot. He was a DJ for Puffy at the time. And while he was DJing for Puffy, he was also DJing for Craig Mack. He also DJ'd for Little Kim. He DJ'd for Missy Elliott. He DJ'd for a slew of artists. I can't even think. But anyway, the way I got started with him was while he was on tour, he would make these mixtapes. And the mixtapes he would give out, or he would sell them on tour while he's on tour with Puffy. And people, after the show's over, people would come up to him, hey, you got any music? And he would actually sell those mixtapes of different artists. And back when we first started, they were called mixtapes because they were actually cassettes. And people would do was, come up with the name DJ so-and-so, and they would just have like a picture of a car or a picture of something on it. I was the first designer to actually start putting artist images on the covers. So I started doing collages of like the artists. So let's say the mixtape had Puffy, Biggie Smalls, whatever artists were out at the time. I would actually create a collage with all those artists and put them on there and say DJ 45 presents whatever the name of the CD was and have all the artist pictures on there. And I was the first one to start that. And there was a guy at the time who was in charge of the underground mixtape circuit. His name was Justo Faison. May he rest in peace. He passed away years ago. I got my first underground award called the Mixtape Awards, the Justo Mixtape Award. I was nominated for it. They created a category for the design for mixtape, and I was the first one to be nominated for that award.
Wow.
Through DJ 45 because we revolutionized the whole mixtape game by adding the people's artists on there. And we always, like I said, anything I do, I always try to take it to another level. Where people would just do the regular covers, I would take the artist pictures on there. And he was like, when I first did it, Kenyon, or his real name is Kenyon, but DJ 45 was like, what are you doing? I'm like, your stuff is like an actual album. And I said, so when you look at an album cover, what do you see? You see the artist covers on there. I said, if you make this cover look good, I think you'll sell more CDs. And sure enough, because his CD looked so attractive, the people who sold the mixtape would actually put his stuff on the front so that they can encourage people to come and buy more.